I'd like to introduce Stephen Main to the meeting.
Oh, hi Stephen.
Good morning, Frank.
How are you doing?
Very well, thanks. And I actually have to apologise at the start. I'm a candidate for the MAP Group board, and their AGM starts in 15 minutes, so I'll have to ask a couple of questions and then do a runner. So it's about that.
Go for it.
The first one is to congratulate you on finally reaching the top of the BLW Rich list, which was announced yesterday, and to simply ask you what took you so long?
Listen, I don't make money that quickly, I work very hard for it.
So congratulations on that, and obviously long-term shareholders in particular have shared in that success. Two issues I want to raise. The first one goes to, I know it is remuneration, but the $31 million that the three executive members of the Lowy family are paid. I noticed in the video you talked about pulling back from executive duties, but I did also note that your salary hasn't pulled back commensurately to that statement, and $15 million a year still I think makes you close to the highest paid Australian executive. If the Lowy family was earning, say, $8 million a year in salary rather than the $31 million a year, that would free up $23 million. That would be an extra cent per share in distribution. So we'd be able to go up from 94 cents to 95 cents if you brought back the family salaries to what would be probably a more appropriate benchmarked level. I just feel that the $40,000 a day that you're on is a little bit over the odds. And now that you are top of the pops, that maybe it would be an appropriate time to follow the lead of James Packer and the late Kerry Packer and actually working for, in their case, nothing, or if not nothing, something a little bit more modest. The other issue I want to raise is to say that I'm a councillor in the city of Manningham in Melbourne. We host the magnificent Doncaster Westfield, which was your first move outside of Sydney. The jewel in the crown in Manningham, Melbourne's best shopping centre, and we absolutely love it. There's a couple of small issues though. Recently you've proposed a 10-storey apartment tower at the back of Westfield. Our officers rejected it. 140 people complained. It was unanimously rejected by the councillors 9-zip, and then you just ploughed on with the state government and VCAT, and we're feeling a little bit railroaded as a community that you've pushed into residential development, which we don't normally do, and you've really upset the community in doing this. The other issue I want to ask you about is paid parking. I noticed one of the councils in Adelaide recently rejected your application for paid parking. We certainly at Doncaster would prefer that parking wasn't paid, it was free, people can get in and out faster. Why are we pushing so hard with paid parking? Is it really such an important part of the business? I would have thought it was pretty marginal, and I know certainly we'd love you even more in Manningham if you competed with Chadstone, your biggest rival, which offers 10,000 free car parks, and you went back to a free parking model which did serve you so well for the first 44 years or thereabouts in Doncaster. So congratulations again, and I look forward to hearing your responses to these issues.
Okay. Why do we charge for parking? Because we believe that this service is to be paid for. And some centres don't charge, and some centres do. I think I understand that Stephen wants also to speak on that subject. Stephen, go ahead on that particular question for a moment.
There's a few points you've made there with regards to Doncaster and paid parking, and to elaborate on the chairman, specifically at Doncaster, you'd obviously be aware, Stephen, that the centre has had a major expansion in the last few years, which has been a major benefit to the local area. It's been very successful, and the parking and the paid parking was a necessary part of the economics to make that work. That's first of all. Second of all, as you'd also know, it's a very large bus interchange there, major transport interchange, and therefore it's important that we facilitate the consumers who are going to shop in the shops. Actually, the parking is freed up for them, and not for people to spend all day and use the bus and go somewhere else and take up car spots. So that's another important part of it. And secondly, and thirdly, you'd also be aware that the level of customer service and security in the car park is elevated enormously from where it used to be in terms of car park management systems, and all of those ultimately come at a cost and they need to be serviced. With regards to the approval for the residential tower you're referring to, it's not uncommon in the process of getting an approval that certain members of the community object to it. If that was the case and we would have listened to the objectives of Bondi Junction, well, that wouldn't be there. And if we would have listened to the objectives of Sydney City, well, that wouldn't be there. It's a very common process and of the approval process that you have objectives and you have people who want to do things, and then you go through the proper process. And in this case, we fully went through the proper process, and the end result is that there's an approval in this case for a residential development.
Thank you, Stephen. There's not much more I can add to that. Stephen has answered it very, very comprehensively. And generally, our obligation is to create wealth for our shareholders in a proper way, and we are doing that, I think, all the time. Sometimes we slip a little and then we correct ourselves. The next question was about the last, not the last one. What? The last question was my pay. Maybe I could forget talking about it, you know. Because you are here, I like to see you and I like to hear from you, but you repeat the same questions year in and year out. And I more or less give the same questions year in and year out. But nevertheless, there are some members here who haven't heard the question or the answer, so I'm going to tell you again. You lump the 4 Lowies, or the 3 Lowies now, 1, 2, 3, that's right, the 3 Lowies who are executives of the company together. There are 3 people. One could be Smith, Jones, and Goldsmith. So we don't live in the same house. It's not one household, and each one is entitled to pay what the company believes is appropriate to pay. We have a very, very strong remuneration committee, and they take into consideration all the issues that are on, what executives are available, what they're worth, what they do, and how they do it. So I think it's wrong in the first place to assume that there are 3 Lowies that are lumped together. There are 3 different people doing 3 different jobs. And I think each one is entitled to get paid. And the amount of pay is fixed by the remuneration committee along with other, the top 10 or 15 executives. As far as I am concerned, you have asked me to work for nothing for the last 5 or 10 years. Well, I don't work for nothing. I know I can afford it, but I believe that I'm entitled to get paid. And just on the sideline, I don't keep that money that I get paid from the company. And I give it away, and a lot more, to deserving causes. I don't believe that a Westfield shareholder is a deserving cause for me to give them an extra cent. I believe there are a lot more causes that are, but this is a philosophical discussion. The fact is, what James does, good luck to him. He's a good guy. He knows what to do, but he chooses to do that. And in fact, there are many other companies, chief executives and chairmen, that do other business. I don't do other business. I, of course, engaged in many public activities, which I have all my life, and I like to do them well. I wake up very early, and I go to bed late, but I don't sleep enough. So I can do this job and a number of other public jobs that I do. And the size of I think I didn't address the size of the pay. I mean, it's up for debate. And really, I really can't comment on that, except I want to make it clear that I work, I'm entitled to get paid for it. Any other questions that I haven't responded? Maybe not to your satisfaction, but I responded to all your questions. I think I did.